Okay, Papa. So
Yeah.
today we are going to learn how a Colombian snack brand that is called Tosh can be sold and it's healthy. I'm sorry, that it's called Tosh and can sell its healthy cookies and bars in Canada. We will see
Oh,
how people in each country behave, what rules they have, and how they buy and sell things, and what Tosh needs to do to send their snacks safely to another country. It will be very simple, like learning how to share snacks with a friend who lives far away. Okay, Papa. So first, I'm gonna tell you about the culture in Colombia. So in Colombia, people are warm, friendly, and like to talk a lot, right? You notice that when you came here to Colombia, right?
yeah.
Also in business relations, here in Colombia are personal and based on trust. Uh, we are really flexible with the time, and meetings may start later or take longer. It is common to have informal conversations before talking about business right here in Colombia. Now I'm gonna tell you about culture in Canada. So, the culture in Canada, people really valued punctuality, like not being late to their meetings. Being on time is very important for them. So also communication has to be direct, clear, and organized. Business interactions are formal and focused on facts. Canadians appreciate sustainability and healthy lifestyles. Now that's the culture of Canada. Now I'm gonna tell you about the history of Colombia. Okay, Papa?
Uh,
So Colombia has a long history of producing agricultural goods such as coffee, cocoa, fruits, and cereals. Over the years, Colombia developed a strong food processing industry, creating products like cookies, snacks, chocolate, and packaged foods. Large companies such as Grupo Nutresa expanded their operations internationally, helping Colombia become more active in global trade. The demands for healthier foods led to the creation of Tosh, a brand focused on wellness and sustainability. Colombia's economic development is based on natural resources and the ability to transform them into competitive products for export. Now I'm gonna tell you about the history of Canada. So Canada grew as an industrialized and modern economy with strong institutions and stable development. It has a tradition of international trade, importing products from many countries due to its large market and high consumer demand. Historically, Canada has focused on sectors such as technology, energy, agriculture, and manufacturing while importing many processed foods. As Canada became wealthier, consumers began demanding healthier, eco friendly products, opening opportunities to brands like Tosh. Um, Canada's economic evolution has created a market that values sustainability, quality, and strict health standards. Okay, Papa. Now I'm gonna explain you about the Colombian economy. Okay,
uh,
I need you to get close to the camera so the teacher
no.
can see you. Mommy,
Uh,
um, macroeconomic indicators. So in Colombian economy, the macroeconomic indicators, Colombia has a growing but fluctuating economy influenced by global markets. Average GDP growth between 2% and 4% in recent years. Inflation has been higher than Canada's, but is gradually improving. The Colombian peso is weaker than the Canadian dollar, making exports cheaper and more attractive. Um, Now, the microeconomic indicators of Colombian economy. Um, in the agro-industrial sector, we have a strong area with fruits, cocoa, cereals, and grains. Food companies like Nutresa have experience exporting to many countries. Labor and production costs are lower, allowing competitive prices. Colombia produces snacks efficiently, supporting brands like Tosh. Now about the Canadian economy. The macroeconomic indicators of the Canadian economy. So Canada has a high income, stable economy. GDP growth around 1.5% to 2% in recent years. Canadian economy has a low inflation. It has also a strong currency, which is the Canadian dollar, giving consumers high purchasing powers. Now, the microeconomic indicators. Um, Canada has a high demand for healthy, sustainable foods. Consumers look for transparency, such as clear ingredients, list, and certifications. Large organized. Mamita, por favor. Mami,
Ah,
te pedí un favor.
sí, yo estoy haciendo.
Pero es que te escuchas, ma.
Yo no estoy hablando, es Paolo.
Ah. So consumers look for transparency, such as clear ingredients, lists, and certifications. Large organized retail chains make distribution easier. Importing food products is common because Canada does not produce many tropical ingredients. Now I'm gonna talk about the environmental regulations in Colombia, okay, Papa?
Mhm.
So Colombia, the environmental regulations, Colombia has laws that promote recyclable packaging and resolution of plastic waste. Companies must follow regulations from Min Ambiente, which is the Ministry of Environment. Food companies like Tosh are encouraged to reduce the CO2 emissions and improve sustainability. Now, the actions that Tosh is taking to take care of the planet. So it uses packaging with less plastic and more recyclable materials. Develops eco-friendly products lines to match international standards. Implement sustainable production practices as part of Grupo Nucresa's environmental goals. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the environmental regulations in Canada. So the environmental regulations, so Canada has strict rules for imported food products. Requires packaging to be recyclable or biodegradable. It also requires companies to meet sustainability guidelines under the Canadian Environmental Protection Act. Also, Canada has a strong focus on reducing landfill waste and protecting the ecosystem. Papa, I'm sorry. Now the consumer expectations. So Canadian consumers prefer brands that are. I'm sorry. Canadian consumers prefer brands that are sustainable, healthy, transparent with labels, and eco-friendly. So, do you know what eco-friendly means, Papa?
Flying,
Huh?
flying,
I cannot hear you, Papa.
flying.
No, eco-friendly. Do you know what eco-friendly means?
Someone doing echoes and being friendly.
But do you know what eco is?
When we talk and it talks and the air talks back to us.
So when we say eco, we are talking about the environment. We're talking about taking care of the planet and not like not throwing garbage to the floor and all that stuff. So basically, in Canada, what I'm saying, Papa, is that in Canada, consumers prefer to eat snacks, which do you know the paper, like the paper where they put the candies and the cookies, and then people just throw it to the trash? Yep. So basically, this company has papers that if you throw them to the ground, they will not hurt the planet. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you about the political review of Colombia. So the political environment, Colombia has democratic government with regular elections. Political charges happen frequently, which can affect taxes, regulations, and trade policies. Although there is a period of uncertainty, the country maintains stable institutions like the central bank and the Ministry of Commerce. Now, the institutional stability. Trade rules are and export procedures are well defined. Colombia supports international trade through programs that help exporters. The free trade agreement with Canada provides a formal and stable framework that reduces tariffs and simplifies exports requirements. Espera, mamita, que se acabó la grabación y tengo que grabar. Give me a second, papa, okay? Okay. Okay, Papa, now I'm gonna talk about the geopolitical risk analysis. So, um, in the global transportation and logistic risks, um, there are some risks, and one of them is rising shipping costs due to global fuel prices charges changes. I'm sorry. The second one is port delays caused by international congestions or strikes. The third one is long distance between Colombia and Canada, increase exposure of disruptions. And the last one is weather related issues. Now, talking about the currency exchange volatility, Colombia, the first risk is that Colombia uses the Colombian peso and Canada uses the Colombian dollar. The second one is the Colombian peso is unstable and can lose its value quickly. The exchange rate fluctuations affect final price of Tosh products, profit margins, and long-term contract stability. The third one is the changes in environmental regulations. I'm sorry. The first risk is that Canada frequently updates rules on packaging, recycling, and CO2 emissions. Anything not complained can be blocked at customs. And new laws can force companies to invest in new materials or processes. And the last one is food safety and health regulations. So Canada has strict rules for labeling, ingredient transparency, allergen information, and certifications. Now we're almost finished, Papa. Okay. So the
So we're
commercial,
gonna read about the snowman.
huh?
Listen.
What did you say,
What
Papa?
are we gonna read about?
What did you say, Papa?
What are we gonna read about?
Um, Now I'm gonna tell you about the commercial balance. Okay, Papa?
Okay.
So Colombia, when Colombia exports to Canada, Colombia mainly exports coffee. Do you know what exportation is, Papa?
Teleporting somewhere.
No, not teleporting. Exportation is when,
Exportation.
mommy,
No.
exportation is when you take one thing, made, for example, like your Nintendo Switch. When you take your Nintendo Switch from the United States where you live to Colombia and you sell it right there. So if you sell it right here in Colombia, that's an exportation. Okay, so when Colombia exports to Canada, we mainly export coffee, flowers, cocoa, and chocolate products, and processed foods and snacks, textiles. So and Colombia, when Canada exports to Colombia, Canada mainly exports machinery and industrial equipment, cereals, fertilizers, vehicles, and technology, and chemical products. Now I'm gonna talk about the international trade strategy for Tosh, okay? So the strategy is the differentiation of healthy snacks, recyclable packaging, clear labels. The economic theory is is the hectare hauling. So Colombia has resources, then those resources are transformed into snacks. And the competitive advantage that Tosh has is that we when they make snacks, they make it so it's healthy, it tastes good, and also is eco-friendly. Do you remember what eco-friendly is, Papa? Papa.
No.
So what does eco mean? I thought what does friendly mean?
Be kind.
Okay, exactly. Be kind. So eco, like I told you before, it talks about the planet, about the environment. So if I say eco-friendly, what do you say? What do you think it means? So it's be kind to what? Be kind to the planet.
Save the planet and the
Exactly.
moon.
Exactly. Not the moon, but the planet, Papa.
What? I thought it was Saturn too.
You thought it was what?
Saturn.
Hmm. So yeah, Papa, eco-friendly is that means to be kind to the planet. So now I'm gonna tell you about the trade balance impact. So Colombia has a trade deficit with Canada exporting touch, helps reduce it. The cultural influence. So Canada values punctuality, clear labels, health, and sustainability, and touch must adapt to these expectations. And the Uppsala model. So touch exports small amounts, increase exports with distributors, and create local support team. And the last one is long term, which is open office or expand presence. So do you remember what exportation is, Papa?
Teleporting somewhere. No.
No, that's not what I told you, Papa.
Then I don't know.